Now call the meeting for March 13th, 2023 of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during a regular meeting. We'll now have the roll call.
Mrs. Wider?
Here.
Mr. Simons?
Present.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Here.
Mrs. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Kessler?
Here.
Thank you. Next, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We need an approval or revision of the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes. Thank you. Next, we will have the inspirational message from Evendale Elementary School. It's a wonderful world.
Yes, and hold on one second, I'm sorry. We're very excited about Evendale Elementary School, no question about that. But every single month, and this is all my fault, every single month is Music in Our Schools month, and I know we have a proclamation there, but I know we have some students that are very excited to be here to sing and perform very quickly. We're going to get right to Evendale. It's going to be awesome. But I want to introduce our chair of the music department, Miss Kristen Brown.
Good evening. Wesley Engelin will be singing the national anthem this evening. He is a tenor in Princeton's a cappella choir and is also a member of Vocal Chamber Ensemble. Wesley will be performing with a Vocal Chamber Ensemble at their 2023 showcase, and you will also be able to see Wesley as Prince Topher in Cinderella. Please welcome Wesley Engelin.
Wonderful.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow, thank you.
Very nice.
It's amazing.
Excellent.
It's next recognition of this.
Okay, Ms. Brown?
So we're going to stand again?
Sorry, we have one more thing. The right out front. Right out across front. There we go. This is the Princeton High School Saxophone Sextet, which should normally be 6 members. We had one that couldn't make it, so we invited Mr. Fermier to fill in. And then we had another one go home ill after school today, and Mr. Fermier, we only have one of him. So we're going to have 5 people play for our saxophone sextet. This is a student-led group that put themselves together and chose their music and rehearsed with a little bit of coaching from us, but they performed at the OMEA Soul and Ensemble Contest in January in Class A and received a superior rating. And in this Music in Our Schools month, we just wanted to share their talents with you.
you very much, and you know how great our music program is, led by Miss Kristen Brown. There was all kinds of competitions recently. We had so many Superior 1 ratings, and so appreciate the hard work. Thanks for coming out. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you. Now we're going to call up Josh Murray in his first year at Evendale Elementary School. Wonderful principal, Mr. Murray. And as Mr. Murray comes up, Mr. Murray, as I mentioned, is in his first year. We have a leadership academy. We're very proud that Mr. Murray went through it. And we helped grow his leadership with great support of the amazing leadership team throughout the district. But Mr. Murray, I know you're very excited to be principal, so take it away.
Thanks. I am really, really excited, so I appreciate that. Good evening, Princeton City School Board members, Mr. Burton, Mrs. Petter, and families. Throughout this 2022-2023 school year, Evendale students and staff have focused on leadership. A building has worked on developing leaders within our school on a daily basis. We have learned the 7 habits that Leader in Me is built around. We have dedicated time in our school schedule to learn how to become a leader. Evendale's theme this year is Lead What We Do with an Opportunity. As the year has progressed, we have leaned into one key word in that statement, which is opportunity. Yes, we want all of our students to become leaders, but more importantly, we want all of our students to realize the impact they can make when they take an opportunity and turn it into something special and wonderful. Please enjoy watching this video and listening to our students perform the song titled, It's a Wonderful World.
It's a wonderful world at Evendale. Evendale is wonderful because
every time I wake up every morning, I genuinely want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here. Every teacher knows me, encourages me, and motivates me.
every teacher believes in me.
Everyone at Evendale encourages me every day.
My teacher loves me. My teacher loves me.
My teachers love me. I love my teachers.
My principal listens to me and cares about me.
Evendale is wonderful because everyone matters every day.
Evendale is wonderful because everybody respects you for who you are.
Evendale is wonderful because everyone gets the education they need.
Evendale is wonderful because we are learning to be proactive leaders.
Evendale is a wonderful place because it's awesome,
Nice,
thoughtful, safe,
unique, and fun. Respectful, helpful,
Different. Creative. Evendale is a school that is responsible. Friendly. Strong.
Evendale is a great place to learn and grow. Evendale is wonderful because we are kind and friends. Evendale is wonderful because we are leaders. It's a wonderful world at Evendale.
Created using Powtoon.
It certainly is a wonderful world. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you very much, Evendale Elementary School.
Wow. Wish I could do that. I'm Princeton's only music failure, I believe. Are there any visitors?
No, there are not.
Okay, thank you. Next is the proclamation for Music in Our Schools Month 2023. Music is all of us.
Yes, and for each of the proclamations, the Board of Education will sign each of the proclamations, and we know that music is alive and well in Princeton. You saw it on the stage with two incredible performances, as I mentioned earlier, Mrs. Brown does such a great job leading an unbelievable staff of caring, loving teachers who do a wonderful job on this very stage last week. And we have several different, like 3-week stints or 2-week stints where we call it concert season. It happens 3 times a year right here on this very stage. And last week we were treated with an unbelievable performance for Black History Month. Actually, there were a couple different performances, but last Monday there was a performance here, and music was alive and well throughout the whole program. And so we just wanted to say congratulations one more time to our great music department. Let's give them a big round of applause. Do you want me to keep going here, Mrs. Wider, with the proclamations?
Do you want to do the proclamation then for Middle Level Education Month?
Right. So March, we're very excited to be able to recognize so many different initiatives, movements, and months. And we talk about history not being just in any one day. History is 365 days a year. But middle level education, we know that that's a very trying time in a child's life, there's no question, and an adult life, if we're being honest about that. We know that kids in this age level really need all the nurturing, all the care, the compassion, and all the challenge that we offer here. So this proclamation, again, is just recognizing Middle Level Education Month in Princeton City Schools. And then lastly, for the proclamation is National Women's History Month. All throughout our school district, if you follow us on social media, you'll see Facebook posts, Instagram, as well as Twitter posts recognizing the great contributions that women have made in our country throughout history. And really, I'm very, very proud of what we do with our equity team to make sure that we recognize the great contributions. And again, it's not just in any one month, it's each and every day that we should recognize the contributions of each group, each gender. And so this proclamation, again, just shows a commitment of the Board of Education. Thank you, Mrs. Wider.
Thank you. Next, we have recognitions. And first is recognition of Princeton High School 11th grade student Ava Franklin.
Thank you. Ava, if you wouldn't mind, come right up here and let me embarrass you for a second. Ava Franklin, thank you. So Ava Franklin did such a great job representing our school district in 2 different events. One was the Rotary 4-way speech competition. She actually made it to the finals and finished 3rd, which is awesome. Congratulations. You got a little bit of money too, right? Yes, it's great. So let's give that a big round of applause. And also she participated in a national movement called the C Summit, which specifically is Students for Equitable Education, and she represented the school district and actually on a national platform did a wonderful job. And again, this showcases the reality that we create multiple opportunities for students to showcase their skills, develop skills, and again, we're so very proud of Ava Franklin, who will and is a force to be reckoned with. Let's give her a big round of applause. And before we move on to the next recognition, I've encouraged the Board of Education just to kind of wait to the side because we have so many different photo opportunities tonight. You know, I remember being so excited when Micah was going to go to states. And it also happened to be a day when our boys basketball team beat, I forget the name of that school, Moeller, in basketball, and the girls won as well. It was so amazing, and I remember saying, man, I'm going to lead with Micah, and so little did I realize that there was all this other great stuff going on that very day. And we'll recognize the girls track team, a couple of the runners who did such a great job at states, the boys relay team who finished third. But I have to tell you, in all the sports that kids have an opportunity to participate in, I never want to wrestle. That is such an incredible endurance that you need. The sport itself is so very difficult. Micah, come on up here and let me brag about you for a second. So this young man had a record, get this, 47-4 this year. He's 2 wins shy of the 100-win mark. Micah, you know how proud we are of you. He's such a great young man. He's very, very humble, does all stuff. He's all Ohio, finished 8th this year, had a great wrestling match the first 2 days, phenomenal, right? Won his first match 7-2, advanced in wrestling. It's very, very difficult. He also finished, competed in the Division I district wrestling tournament and did wonderfully there. He finished 3rd place with a 4-1 record in a 2-day tournament, which ultimately punched his ticket to the state championship. And there's more to come, right, young man? He has unfinished business, so let's put your hands together. Micah Cottrell, thank you. Maybe the best smile around right here. It's getting ready to show. Go ahead, show him that, Micah. So as Micah leaves, one last thing about Micah. Joe Roberts and I had an opportunity to see him right before he wrestled, and his focus is unbelievable, right, Mr. Roberts? It's something to behold. And, you know, obviously so very, very proud of who he is and what he was able to do. Our next recognition, and again, we got a lot of recognitions here. And this is for Jordan Artis and Elijah Floyd. Jordan, I think you're here, hopefully. There he is. Come on up, Jordan. Thank you very much. Elijah couldn't be with us tonight. If you remember the last board meeting, we were able to recognize another young man for participating in the attendance in the Black History Honors television premiere screening and reception, and being recognized as one of the top 30 high school students in Cincinnati. The honors just continue to come. We had 3 out of 30, right, Jordan? 10% of the people who were chosen were from Princeton. And this was held at the National Underground Railroad and Freedom Center on Monday, January 3rd. Jordan was doing some things, couldn't be here last board meeting, but we're very happy to have you here. And we're going to take a picture. Put your hands together, Jordan Artis. Okay, on March 4th, the boys and girls track team traveled to Geneva, Ohio. And if you haven't been there, the Aspire Institute, it's something to behold. And I don't know if all of our athletes had been able to be there before, if that was the first time, but it is a city there. It is something incredible. And we're going to recognize 6 athletes right now. We're going to call it the boys 4x4 relay team. Finished 3rd at state indoor states. Coming up, gentlemen. And we have Trayvon Williams, Antonio Hunter, Jordan Houston, and Jared Farley, and they ran a time of 3:27:51. And also, we're going to call up too, because they participated on the same very day. In the girls' 400-meter dash, Jada Irwin ran a season best 57:75 to finish 6th. Coming up, and finishing 8th place in the 60-meter hurdles, which they say is the toughest, most competitive event there, with a season best time of 9.35 seconds. Marie Zaley, come on up here. All right, come on, everybody up here, right here. Right here in the middle, there you go. I didn't forget you.
Yeah, we'll get behind you.
Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Susan, you got to get right over there on the side. Oh, there you go. And I have to tell you, I have to tell you that if you have followed our track team in the last couple of years, it's been unbelievable. Obviously, we had state championship relay last year, and I was just guaranteed a state champion boys team this year in the relay. So thank you. 323, is that what it was? 323? But they both teams work so very hard. They're unbelievable athletes. And bigger than that, the whole student-athlete piece of it can't be overlooked. They're all fine young men and young women, and we're very, very excited about their future. And there was only one senior in that group, so you know there's big things that are going to happen this year and in the future. And now we would like to recognize our 2023 Girls State Championship team. Let's go. Everybody on your feet. Let's go. State champion, I said. Let's go. I'm going to have all the girls come up here and line up. I'm going to ask Coach Davis. She's going to say a few words. But I have to tell you that, boy, what an unbelievable ride it has been. And I remember talking to Coach Davis after the second Mason game. Coach, if you remember that conversation, I remember it was we were a little bit disappointed by the ending for sure. But we said, hey, this wasn't what we were after. We weren't after beating Mason. We were after winning the state championship. But we did happen to beat Mason anyway, which was great. These young ladies worked so very, very hard to make sure that they represented themselves, the school, the team, their families so incredibly well. Coach Davis, you want to share a few words, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you to the board. Thank you to the administration that's here, parents, and faculty and staff and friends. This year has been an amazing year for these young ladies. They've been challenged night in and night out. We played a very tough schedule this year, played a lot of national opponents, and came out victorious in a lot of those matches. Like Mr. Burton said, we lost 2 games this season to the same team, and it wasn't about winning those games. Obviously, we want to win those games, but our goal was bigger than that. We wanted to win a state championship. In order to do that, we had to pass that team again, and we were victorious. So we were very, very fortunate to have success this year. We had a lot of support from the community, from our Princeton family, and it's just been a tremendous year for this team, and we're just so happy to walk away with the state championship.
Big round of applause. So you guys can stay right there, that's perfect. Oh no, I definitely don't want to be seen. This is about you guys, that's all good. Hey, we do know some of the awards that we have on the team, but you know, one of the biggest things about this team that we saw every game is that somebody would step up when needed. And that was the mark of the great coaches on this staff. And I remember reading an interview where I think it was Soleil said, "I don't care how it happens or what I have to do." And you could see that people just stepped up. And in my opinion, we should have had even more students be recognized. But Soleil Williams is Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Ohio, first team All-GMC. District 16 Player of the Year. Mari Girton, second team, District 16, first team All-GMC. DD Carter Hartley, second team All-GMC, third team All-District. And if you saw that game, you know if a ball was going to be up in the air, if it wasn't DD, it was Callie. If it wasn't Callie, it was DD. They dominated in an article in the beloved Cleveland Plain Dealer. I'm sorry, people. They have a newspaper in Cleveland, too. But there's a great article, and in that article, Mr. Ballmer sent it to me today. It talked about the strength of this team, and particularly of Dee and Callie. But Dee is second team All-GMC, third team All-District. Lasagna Hill, second team All-GMC. It was amazing. And Soleil, Dee, and Lasagna are playing the East vs. West All-Star game this Wednesday at Milford. Unbelievable. And it's my privilege to present a 1,000-point ball to Soleil Williams. Let's put your hands together. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do this picture. We're just going to take some time because this is an awesome moment. State champion 2023. So we're going to have a couple of rows here. Yep. Good. Right here, please. And while Chris is getting everybody lined up, we're going to have a pep rally on Wednesday. We have early release. We're going to have a pep rally on Wednesday, and then there's going to be a clap out at the middle school. So we're unbelievably excited. And one of the things that Mr. Ballmer and Mr. Roberts really wanted to emphasize was the fact that this is a community activity, a community event, community celebration. So not only will they be going to the Innovation Center, they're going to be going to each elementary school to show what's possible with hard work and determination.
Hold on to him. Don't reach.
1, 2, 3. 2 more. 1, 2, 3. After I get done, you're going to hold that pose because there's some people behind me that want to take some. So hold that pose. And we're going to be done in 3, 2, 1.
This is the time for y'all to leave if you would like. If not, you got to stay here for another 3 hours. I didn't have to tell you guys twice, did I?
For your family. I'm not surprised.
We'll wait till.
So he said, pepperoni?
Yeah, we'll send out all the details. But it's right there in the middle of the day because
Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Next is the consent agenda.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Is there, thank you, Gina. It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is district business, the appointment of the 2023 Tax Incentive Review Council representative.
I move to appoint Treasurer Christine Petter as representative for the 2023 Tax Incentive Review Council.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is approval of the February 2023 financial reports.
I move to approve the 2023 financial reports as presented.
I'll second. Mrs. Petter?
I'm only going to make one comment because I know we're
Okay.
moving through things quickly tonight. When you look at your monthly financial report, there is one number that may stick out to you, and it appears that you are short $15 million in property taxes.
Oh, my.
That's again, a timing thing. I just want you to remember that. We collected 2 advances in January, no advances in February. We got a big fat advance first week in March. So that all catches up and washes out by the end of April.
Which page is that?
That is on page 4.
Thank you.
Any questions? Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is approval of upgraded contract with Health E-Pro.
Move to approve the upgraded contract with Health E-Pro as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No.
Okay, Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is approval of educational cooperation agreement with Universitat Internacional de Catalunya. I hope I said that right.
That's pretty good. Second.
I took French. That's Spanish.
I move that we approve the educational cooperation agreement with what Susan said. Universitat Internacional de Catalunya.
Oh, good for you.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
The only thing is that it's for a student teacher who goes to that university. We approve all those, and we're thrilled to be able to have international representative.
That's good.
Are we?
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the approval of agreement with Eastern Kentucky University.
I move to approve the agreement with Eastern Kentucky University as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No, ma'am.
If not, Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next is the first reading of the 2023-2024 student handbooks.
Yes, just for discussion, you all have received kind of a highlighted page where it shows the different changes that were made or modifications, as well as the entire handbook for your review. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I guess there are no questions. Next, treasurer's report.
Two quick items. I know you've certainly heard a lot about the interesting events in the banking industry.
Yes.
I wanted to let you know that all of our financial institutions have checked in today to assure me that everything is fine. There are no investments in either of those two banks, and they just, again, laid out everything they do, and just wanted to reassure the board that our investments as well as our cash is in good hands.
That's good news.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Next is the superintendent's report.
The only item that I would like to talk about very briefly is our Princeton Pride Scarlet and Gray Gala, which was held on Saturday. Special thanks to everybody who attended. It was remarkable, especially when so many people wanted to go to Dayton and or went to Dayton halfway through the gala. But it appears right now that we will double the most amount of money that we ever made. Gross revenue right now looks like it's just shy of $120,000 that we were able to raise. And so after everything's all said and done, it looks like maybe $85,000 to $90,000 raised for our students at Princeton. That is all. Thank you.
That's
And it
good
was
news.
very nice.
Haven't heard any negative at all.
The question was, have we heard any negative at
No,
all?
I said I haven't heard.
Oh, you haven't heard any negative at all? No.
Well, there shouldn't
No.
have been any. There was nothing to be negative about.
Actually, we had great compliments about the food, the atmosphere, the music. We sold out. The band was great, and so people really had a very enjoyable time.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add, I mean, it was just fantastic, and thanks to the committee and the PEF, it was just a really fun night of fundraising, yeah.
Good job, everybody who was on that committee. Anything else? The next item is executive session to discuss under sections 121.22G1.
Susan, before you do that, I do have a couple things I wanted to say. I know we had stopped doing board reports, but I'm going to ask that we resume them. As the new chair over at Great Oaks, I do want to acknowledge our students who are doing great work over there, because they're still our students. And so with that, there's a couple of students that they were spotlighted this month for the great work that they've accomplished. And so I want to just acknowledge them. All four of them, there's four, are cosmetology students over at Scarlet Oaks. But the great thing is that they've already passed their state boards to become a licensed cosmetologist, which is huge. So again, I want to recognize all four. First one is Ariana Carter, Lillian Bracken, Deasia Fields, and Ashley Veloquiz. Again, they've passed their state boards and now are licensed cosmetologists while in high school, which is amazing. So again, just wanted to stop for a minute and make sure we do that. The other thing I would like to also acknowledge is that we did have the Southwest Region OSBA Spring Conference. We are one of 117 districts represented within the Southwest region, and they hosted their conference on March 9th in Warren County Career Center, which is in Lebanon. The president of OSBA spoke, as well as the legislative director, which was great, but the highlight of the night was our Princeton Vocal Chamber Ensemble, who performed under the direction of David Dindler. It literally was a showstopper. You could hear a pin drop at points as they were singing. People came up later and just acknowledged how well our students performed. So I want to stop for a minute and also acknowledge the fact that they traveled to Lebanon just to perform that evening. And Princeton was one of 9 districts recognized as a 2023 Southwest Board A to Z awardee, which also is important to acknowledge. And then our own Susan Whiter was recognized for her 10 years of service on the Board of Education by the Ohio School Board Association. So again, just wanted to stop for a moment and acknowledge the great things that we're doing here at Princeton.
Thank you, and I apologize because Mary had asked me that ahead of time, and I'm an old woman and
you're
I
fine.
forgot.
I just wanted to make sure I do it.
But I'm sorry, I'm an old woman, I forgot. So it won't happen again.
Go ahead.
Mary Cleveland also received her 10-year award that night.
And was the MC, and serves as the president of the Southwest OSBA, and it was a spectacular evening. What I loved the best, the first song that our a cappella and vocal chamber sang was Lift Every Voice.
It was. And
And
it was amazing.
It was incredible. And in a room without a lot of diversity, I love the fact that they represented and they talked about lifting every voice and how critically important that is now more so than ever.
And to that end, you know, I take on the roles that I do to always find ways to promote Princeton. And so this is a great opportunity this year, serving as president of the OSBA Southwest Region. It gives me the opportunity to take Princeton everywhere I go. And so just so you know, it's going to be a lot more opportunities for us to perform or to just be highlighted. So again, I'm really, really happy about what I'm going to be able to do this year serving Princeton. So, and thank you, Tom and Chris, for being there. Tom miraculously went from that event, came back here to watch the jazz concert that night. So thank you, Tom. I know that was a lot to do in one night. So, but thank you for being there. So.
And I want to thank you, Mary, for your leadership role.
Thank you.
It does make Princeton look good, so keep up the good work.
Oh, everybody's going to know about Princeton, if I have anything to do. Again, 117 districts represented, so they're going to know a lot about Princeton.
Okay, anything else?
Sorry, Susan.
Oh, no, that's all right. It's I owe you the apology. I knew I was supposed to do it, and I didn't. So, anyway, at this point, then, I move we go into executive session. Oh, to discuss under sections 121.22G1 to consider the employment of a public employee of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.